Good afternoon, guys. We're going to talk about, is Western civilization relevant today? So for many years, Western civilization has been debated in college courses and universities across the nation. Questions arise like, does Western civilization still exist? And is it still relevant today? Well, of course, the answers to both of those questions aren't astounding. Yes, as a matter of fact, it does still exist and it is still important. Kwame Anthony Appiah say that when people hear about the term Western civilization, they think about the distinction between the Christian West and the Muslim East. But there's so much more to that. Further still, Bradley Bizzer discusses how before the 16th century, the term Western civilization didn't even exist. But yet here we are talking about Western civilization. So it explains the development of religion as it progressed throughout the Mediterranean from 600 to 325. So you see the spread of Christianity and the directions that it took in Europe. But from that, we are going to get it going much further. So we know that it spread throughout the Mediterranean. We know that Christianity spread that far, but it's also going to spread across Europe. And during the age of discovery and exploration, it's going to travel much further throughout other nations, other countries, other continents. It's going to go to Africa. It's going to come here to the New World. So the spread of Christianity and Judaism through the various eras was very important. Robert Royal discusses that a basic overview of Western civilization should look at ancient Greece and Rome, of course, Judaism and Christianity, and the various eras in which ideals, ideas, and movements spread, such as the Renaissance, the Reformation, the Enlightenment, the Age of Discovery. So as Christianity is spreading, and as European nations are taking a more political motive that are aimed at adopting certain religious sects, those that did not want to adopt those were persecuted. So then they look at heading further west to escape such persecution. So here you have the dispersion of not just religion, but any kind of trading globally as of 700 or 1750. We know that Spain is going to send explorers to the New World in search of God, gold, and glory, and they're going to go to South America first, and they're going to start colonizing. They tried to Christianize the native population, and we know that France would try to do the same thing in the New World. England would follow suit. So when we're talking about England, what comes to mind is going to be John Winthrop and the city upon the hill, which he wanted it to be the beacon, the model for all who are in search of religious freedom. For example, one such group were the Puritans who escaped the ungodliness of England, as they say. John Winthrop exhorted his fellow colonists to make Massachusetts a city upon the hill, an inspirational set of Reformed churches, conspicuous to the mother country. But we know that European Protestantism wasn't the first religion. We know that the Spanish missionaries had brought Catholicism to North America, and yet still were the religions practiced by the natives. And we cannot ignore the religions of the slaves as they were forced to travel to the New World. And some of their beliefs and practices dispersed and would be later adapted into other religions. But religion is not the only reason why we study Western civilization. We know that religion is one of our cornerstones. It's one of the backbones here in the United States, and we treasure the right of freedom of religion, the First Amendment to the Constitution. Yet it's not the only reason why we study Western civilization or what makes it relevant today. Another aspect are the ideals that come with Western civilization, the ideals of liberty and freedom, which we base our government and our lives and our laws upon. In a presentation on Western civilization, ideals and traditions, Dr. Carey Roberts speaks about the differences between liberty and freedom. Most of us think that these terms are synonymous, yet Roberts advocates that they are not. Freedom is derived from Northern European Germanic lands where liberty is a Mediterranean term. Where freedoms are duties, liberty is an ideal. Daniel Hannan even goes further than that in his analysis of Western civilization in his book, Inventing Freedoms, How the English-Speaking Peoples Made the Modern World. He notes that in Great Britain, Northern Ireland, North America, and later Australia, South Africa, and New Zealand, Protestantism was understood primarily in political rather than theological terms. A guarantor of free speech, free conscience, and free parliament. Berger further discusses that ancient Latins had employed the term Europa, but it was an idea of freedom, not an actual place. And our founding fathers are going to cling to both of those, freedom and liberty, as they push for independence from Britain. Berger states that the term Europe did not come into vogue until the early 16th century as a way to distinguish Christian Europe from the Americas to the west and the Muslims to the south and east. Yet we still use these terms for the basis of our government in the United States. The Founding Fathers discussed these liberties and freedoms when establishing the Articles of Confederation. Much time and effort went into advocating which of these are we going to hold above all others. When the Founding Fathers were declaring their independence from Europe, there are several liberties and freedoms that we hold dearly. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That when we did establish our own governments, we took pains into making sure we had certain freedoms with the Bill of Rights. And of course, the First Amendment to that is freedom of speech, religion, press, assembly, and the right to petition. So many of these we would not understand, nor would we know if we do not look at Western civilization. So in conclusion, a study on Western civilization gives us the backbone of some of these ideals that we hold very dearly to our hearts: freedom, liberty, and religion. Thank you.